Hey, hey, Facebook. Welcome back. And if this is your first month with us, then welcome. Good to have the new people involved as well. Today, we're going to continue our monthly dive into what our body's trying to tell us. Today, we're going to be talking about chronic pain. We call this one Escape, the 4 keys to breaking out of chronic pain. So let's dive right in. Maybe. There we go. So 5 things that you'll learn with us today. Number 1, the shocking truth about chronic pain. Number 2, the 5 nutrients that support the healing of chronic pain. 3, the 3 types of foods to avoid, what I call inflammatory death foods, that inflame chronic pain and drive it worse. And number 4, 5 lifestyle changes that must be adopted to stop the pain. And number 5, a missing link to chronic pain and inflammation crisis that accelerates healing. All right, let's get going. So why are we here? We're here because there's a lot of things that we don't know. Most people, when they develop chronic pain and they go and they speak to their doctor, most of the time they're directed towards remedies or treatments that just don't work. Unfortunately, chronic pain is rampant in the United States, and some of the statistics that we'll go over that will show you how much people are actually suffering with chronic pain will just blow your mind. And so why are we here? Because people just aren't hearing this, and we need this. Okay, so here's the problem. As I said, this is a huge, huge problem. 1/3 of the population suffers from chronic pain, 110 million Americans. The cost of this issue is ginormous. So $600 billion are spent annually, more than heart disease and cancer combined. 1 in 3 Americans take opioid drugs. Yes, those drugs that have been in the news that are killing people, that actually have become such a problem that there's been legislation from the government saying that people can no longer take them the way they have been taking. I mean, the problem's got to be pretty darn huge for the government to step in and say, hey, we need to actually rein this back and control this. And so it's something that's literally gotten out of control. 1.9 million Americans are addicted to opioid drugs. This stat right here, 175 people die per day from opioids. When I was doing the research on this, I saw a range. Some people say on average 130, maybe up to 175, and that's from legal drugs, okay? And some of those are not even abused. Those are just taken according to the label, according to what the doctor prescribed. It's about 50 a day that have transferred over from quote unquote legal opioid drugs into heroin. 50 people a day die from heroin. And it's between 100 and 150 people per day in the United States dying from the legal versions of opioid drugs. Just what a tremendous problem we have going on here. And then 63.4% of the opioid abusers say that they started taking the opioids because of some physical pain. Okay, this problem is huge. It's one of the super sad type of fallout from this issue is that every 25 minutes a baby is born that suffers with opioid withdrawal, and that's of course because the mom was taking pain relievers, these opioid drugs, while she was pregnant, and the baby is suffering just from the very first minute of the day. This accounts for $1.5 billion in healthcare charges each year trying to save those little ones. Okay, and here's the kicker: is that the FDA and the CDC, so the government, both say that they recommend non-opioid and non-pharmacological approaches first. So what we're talking about today, natural health, healing from the inside out, this should be the first approach. This should not be alternative. What we're talking about should not be alternative. It should be the mainstream. It should be the main approach. And unfortunately, things have gone crazy in the United States, and we just don't see normal for normal. We call, you know, the severe, the surgeries, the drugs, those types of treatments, we call those normal, and then everything else is kind of alternative to that, and it should be exactly flip-flop. That's why we're doing this today. So if you're yourself on here because of some sort of chronic pain, or if you know someone in chronic pain, and all you have to do is look at 3 people and you know someone in chronic pain, this is the information that they need, what we're talking about today. So where does the chronic pain come from? It comes from the nervous system, okay? Your nervous system is your control center for pain perception. All pain is experienced within the brain. In other words, if your brain isn't there, you don't have any pain. You can have a problem within the body. If the brain isn't receiving the signal, you won't have the pain. The pain is experienced in the brain. Your nervous system is central to that. And so here's one thing, is that most of the chronic pain sufferers, it started with a physical trauma, something that happened to them. You know, it might be something super extreme, might be something minor, but then it didn't get resolved naturally. The body didn't heal right. And so after 3 months, it's designated as chronic pain. And what the body has done at that point is it's integrated that pain into the system. And then the nerve system perceives the pain, even though it may or may not even be there. And what we call that is we call that neuroplasticity, or how we say that is nerves that fire together, wire together. What your nervous system does over and over again, it gets really good at. And so if it continues to experience pain over and over, it'll get good at that and the pain will stay. And so unfortunately, throwing drugs at that won't resolve the issue. It doesn't address the underlying cause. And so that chronic pain, unfortunately, when trying to be managed in today's medical system, very, very poor results and a lot of damage that gets done in the ways of drugs and surgeries that are not necessary if the person can heal. And that's what we're talking about today, is healing. Okay, so all chronic pain has 3 components. Physical, we talked about. Usually the initiator, sometimes a mental or emotional stressor is the initiator, but most of the time it's physical. But the mental and the emotional stress that are involved in your life, those also play a role in driving that chronic pain forward. Also chemistry, okay, the things that you put into your body or that you experience outside your body, or the hormones that are within your body, those all can contribute towards chronic pain as well. And so unfortunately, the drug approach, it only takes into account one thing, which is the chemistry. And even then it's trying to mask things. It's not actually trying to fix the issue. And so this should be self-evident why in America we have such a huge problem with chronic pain, and why the opioid issue is huge. I mean, 30 years ago in the 90s, when those opioid chemistry companies, the pharmaceutical companies, had informed the doctors, hey, we've done research, we say this stuff is safe, it's non-addictive. That's what they were educated on. Our medical doctors were educated on that. And so they said, hey, we can prescribe this oxycodone, OxyContin, fentanyl, these other opioid drugs without, the risk of having people be addicted, like opium as a whole, which is, if you purify that, then it becomes heroin. So this isn't heroin we're giving them, but we're giving them something that can relieve the pain. So we're doing good for people, and it's non-addictive, is what they were told. And what we see is the fallout of that, and it's tremendously, it's causing huge problems in America today. All right, so the nervous system, as I mentioned, the control center for pain perception. Your nervous system, what it does is it looks out into the environment, both the external and the internal environment, and it says, what do I need to do? And so your body is always trying to figure out what it's supposed to be doing, and your nervous system is in control of that. Dr. Bruce Lipton said the function of the nervous system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the behavior of all other cells. So in this little graphic we have at the bottom, your nervous system is saying, okay, do we need to be in protection mode, fight or flight, emergency mode, freak out mode, or can we rest, digest, relax, recover? Can we grow? Can we cause healing to happen in the body? Okay, your brain is always trying to figure out which state it should be in. Okay, and there's always some sort of balance, but it's always appropriate for the environment that your brain perceives. That's a key. So some of the symptoms that can be associated with chronic pain and inflammation. Here's some of the things you may not necessarily know that's being driven by this inflammation, by being driven by the chronic pain, but people suffer with these. Trouble sleeping, digestive issues, low back pain, headache, fatigue, moody, being irritable, neck pain, migraines, anxiety, depression, weight gain, chronic immune issues, joint pain, burning in feet, ringing in ears. This is more than just pain. This is wrecking people's lives over the long haul. They can't be themselves. They can't be with their families as much. They can't do the things that they were designed to do and desire to do if they're suffering chronically with pain and inflammation. Hopefully today will be a key to start moving that forward. And so here's one of the key fundamentals that's different with chiropractors versus medical doctors and everyone else, is that we understand that your body has an innate ability to heal, that there's an intelligence within your body. Okay, if you break an arm and you put a cast on that, well, not you, but the medical personnel, gratefully we'll put a cast on that to protect it. The question is, did the cast heal you? And then if you get a cut, you get a owie or a boo-boo, okay, you put a Band-Aid or some ointment on there. Did that ointment heal? Did the Band-Aid do the healing? We know absolutely not. That's your innate ability to heal from the inside. That's your intelligence from the inside of the body that does the healing. And that's exactly what we address as chiropractors through the nervous system. And so the reason why we do this, the reason why I do this, is because I want to do something called ETC, in the confusion. If you look on Google, if you look out there, if you do searches, you'll find all kinds of different approaches to remove pain or to deal with pain, and all kinds of things, okay? What I do is look at Well, the question is, how does your body heal? Okay, as I mentioned before, the nervous system, the nervous system, the nervous system. That's what we want to focus on. Okay, my question is always, when someone's sitting down with me for not an investigation, an interview, right? A consultation, the first 15 minutes of any appointment that I do for a new person, I want to find out about them. Okay, question I always ask is, when was the last time you had your nervous system checked? And by far, unless they've been seeing a nervous system based chiropractor before, by far the overriding answer is, I don't even, who does that? Okay, and so here's the thing, is that with all that information out there, it's hard to know what to do. Where do we start? We start with the nervous system from the very beginning. And these are actually pictures of real life beings, real life human beings. Okay, so by 3 to 6 weeks, you can actually see something forming on the outside of a human. And it's not the heart, it's not the lungs, it's not other organs, it's not the blood, it is the nervous system. Okay, it's not even the spine, it's the nervous system, because that system needs to be in charge to coordinate and control all other functions. This is where we start. Okay, and when I evaluate someone, that's exactly what I want to know. How is your nervous system driving and directing your body? Okay, are you healing? And so your nervous system is going to direct you into one of two things, like we talked about, either rest dominant, which is rest, relax, health, recovery, proper balanced hormones, good sleep, increased digestion, okay, or into the protection mode, the emergency mode, fight, flight, increased blood pressure, stress hormones, pain, inflammation, okay. Where do you think chronic pain sits on this? The rest dominant or the fight dominant? Okay, easy one, right? It's in the fight dominant. That's where chronic pain exists. So we want to do everything we can to move our bodies and influence the nervous system so it gets out of this fight dominant into the rest and recover dominant phase. Okay, so here are the 5 keys to reducing chronic pain, inflammation, supporting and improving the function of your nervous system. Number 1, and then there's 3 subcategories in number 1. But what we want to do is we want to avoid inflammatory death foods. Okay, I want you to, when you see these things, either on a shelf or in your house, think of them as death foods. They inflame chronic pain horrendously. And if you're trying to get out of chronic pain and you're continuing to do these, your efforts are going to be reduced from what they should and could be. Okay, so number 1, sugars, grains, packaged foods, and refined carbohydrates, breads, pasta, cake, crackers, donuts, sodas, things that are refined, those turn into sugar in your body. Okay, anything that's a wheat product, if it's refined, it's going to turn into sugar. Okay, even whole wheat can do that. It can be promoting and driving the inflammation that's causing the chronic pain in your body. So you want to avoid all these things, including sugars. Here's the key with breads, pastas, cakes, things that are baked, is more often than not, they're going to use a cheap oil, which is vegetable oil. If you have vegetable oil in your house, dump it down the drain. Okay, that's the best place for it. Use it to lubricate, I don't know, something, a car, I don't know. Just don't use it inside your body. Okay, vegetable oils. Vegetables, good. Vegetable oils, not good. It's a processed product and it's driving inflammation in your body. They're omega-6s. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so that's sugar. Keep sugar out of your diet if you want to reduce chronic pain at all. Number 2, artificial sweeteners. These are what we call neurotoxic. Okay, they infect your brain with bad stuff. Okay, they affect the way that your brain functions and they promote all kinds of issues within the brain itself. Okay, so Splenda, sweet and low. And then even high fructose corn syrup, even though it's not an artificial, well, it is artificial sweetener, but it's actual sugar from corn, that also promotes inflammation in your body. Stay away from that as well. Okay, so here's the fats, hydrogenated oils. So things that have been heated or that have been promoted into a saturated fat from a non-saturated fat. Okay, that process is called hydrogenation. So if you look at an ingredients list and you see the word hydrogenation, put it back on your shelf, or go up, better yet, go up to the front of the store and tell someone, hey, you got some poison sitting there that you're selling food. Don't sell that stuff. Okay, that is poison, hydrogenated oils. In fact, it's so well known now that the organizations, the governmental organizations that cover food, they actually said that the tolerance for a human being to have this type of fat, hydrogenated fat, the tolerable limit is 0. You are not allowed to have this and call yourself healthy. You can't be a health food if it has this in it. Okay, hydrogenated oils. Even the government recognizes it as one of the most potent chemicals you can put in your body to drive yourself quicker towards death. Okay, so the other things you want to avoid, things like vegetable oils. Okay, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil. Anything that's frozen, microwavable, potato chips, french fries, fried foods, microwavable popcorn, those fats that you heat in there are horrendous for your body. They will promote inflammation. They will promote chronic pain. These are the inflammatory death foods. Stay away from these at all costs. Just get them out of your body, out of your diet. Okay, so what do we want to add? We want to add some good things. Number 2, add 5 anti-inflammatory nutrients. Okay, bone broth. Why is bone broth so fantastic? It does several different things. Okay, there's some good fats in there. There's also some good proteins in there. And so if you want to buy it on the shelf, great. If you want to make your own, fantastic. Make sure that you get down here at the bottom, we're talking about clean proteins. Make sure you get grass-fed animal cuts that have the bones, and so then you can use those bones. Okay, you want to have a clean source of protein. You want to make sure that those animals were treated well, fed correctly, not fed on corn, not raised in CAFOs, which are confined animal feeding operations. Okay, you don't want to have those sick, dying animals that have tumors and all kinds of other things as part of your diet. You want to eat clean when you're eating animal products. Okay, so bone broth. The good fats will promote healing within the nervous system. Okay, your nervous system requires good fats, so we want fat. Fat is not bad, fat is very good. You just stay away from the death fats, all right? Also collagen. Collagen is a protein, and it helps rebuilding of joints, cartilage, discs, also hair, teeth, nails. Bone broth has a lot of really healing properties. It can also seal the gut. If you've been eating things like gluten and your gut is damaged, you can actually go on a bone broth fast. You can add bone broth just daily, and that can help seal the gut. Okay, very healing. If you want to go to a good source for that, perrysplate.com. That's my wife's blog where she does food, and she has a recipe for bone broth. And so you can look that up and make it yourself at home. If you don't want to make it, like I said, just buy it, find a good, clean source. All right, moving on to the next step. So good fats. As I said, fats are fantastic. Your body is made of fat. Every cell in your body has fat around it. A double lipid or a phospholipid bilayer. Okay, 2 layers of fat in every cell of your body. You need good fat. So coconut oil, avocados, olive oil. Down at the bottom, omega-3 foods, fish oils, and wild-caught fish. Also grass-fed animals or wild-caught animals, things that roam naturally in the environment, they have a better ratio of omega-3s. Okay, so you want good fats in the body. So just one key on the omega-3s. The reason why we want omega-3s is because, especially in America, we're toxic with omega-6 fats. Okay, where do omega-6 fats come from? Omega-6 fats are in vegetable oils, and then they're also in a lot of processed things. And then if you feed animals poorly, internally their fats are going to change from omega-3 rich to omega-6 rich. What omega-6s do is they promote inflammation in your body. Okay, Americans are toxic with omega-6s from the vegetable oils, the cakes, cookies, crackers, brownies, all those things with vegetable oils in them. Also eating toxic meats where they treat the animals horribly, they cause stress in the animals, and then they kill them after feeding them terrible diets of sugar and corn. It's just a really terrible practice that we use in America. So make sure your sources of meat are clean, pasture raised, okay, wild caught, ones that can roam freely. That's what you're really looking for when you look for animal products, which can be healthy, but you got to treat them right. Okay, so going back to high fiber foods. So blueberry, spinach, kale, broccoli, sweet potatoes. You want to eat things that have a lot of antioxidants in them, okay? Eating natural foods will automatically give you antioxidants within those foods, okay? What that does is reduces free radicals. Free radicals, what they do in your body is they drive further inflammation, and then also other types of things that can promote cancer and other things. So this is a great recommendation all the way around. We talked about clean protein already, omega-3 foods, eat the wild caught, but then also supplement with a high quality omega-3 fish oil, okay? And then there's some bonuses down here, some supplements you can add. Peppermint essential oil, great at reducing inflammation. Also lavender, very calming, and can help break the cycle within your nervous system of that stress that you've been experiencing, okay? Vitamin D is fantastic. Go out and get some sun, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, direct sunlight daily, and then water, water, water. All right, number 3, your body, right? We just want to meet you where you're at. If you're not moving right now, just move some, okay? So good is walking. If you're already moving, move more, okay? Better is running. Now, if you're in chronic pain, sometimes you'll say, I don't want to walk, it hurts when I walk, but you got to move those joints. What's going to happen if you don't move the joints, or if they're misaligned? They're going to wear out faster. You got to move the joints, okay, for the promotion of health, keeping them healthy, you got to move them, okay? Better running, doing something higher intensity. Best is what we call high intensity interval training, or HIIT. and resistance exercises are fantastic. You don't have to do it very long, 7 to 10 minutes, high intensity, you're done with your workout. Okay, it can really be that short if you bump up the intensity that much. And so we got good, better, best. Just move the body. That's the key. I never recommend my patients ever exercise. I don't. I tell them, in fact, don't exercise. But what I do want you to do is move the body. Okay, a lot of people have negative associations with the word exercise. Maybe they've failed in the past, they've tried, they've started a regime, didn't fulfill on it. They've built in these negative emotions attached to the word exercise. It just sets them off wrong. I tell them, don't exercise, just move your body. Anything that you're doing moving, fantastic, just do it. Number 4, expressive writing. Don't be fooled by how simple this exercise is. Potentially one of the most powerful things I'm going to share with you today, at least one of the top 2. Expressive writing. So what this means is, if you're a chronic pain sufferer, I want you to write. Okay, it doesn't matter what you write about, but I want you to write for 5 or 10 minutes every day. It could be about the pain, it could be about what's going on in your life. Just write something down, 5 to 10 minutes, and then at the end of this, you crumple up the piece of paper and you throw it away. Okay, possibly better is, just like inflammation is causing flame throughout your body, you can wrap it up, put it into a fireplace if you have one of those these days. There's fewer houses that have them anymore. Fire pit out in the backyard, put it in there and light it on fire. Okay, get rid of it. The reason this works, and if you look at this, this is a proven method of helping people who are suffering with chronic pain, is it gets them out of their head. Instead of circulating that same pattern over and over again and building into the nervous system of having that chronic pain, it breaks the cycle. It interrupts the pattern. And so it allows them to establish a new pattern. Okay, it's also one of the reasons why chiropractic adjustments are so effective for helping people who suffer with chronic pain, is because it breaks the cycle of this repetition of having the chronic pain. And so that's why these 2 practices, this expressive writing where you crumple it, throw it away, or burn it, even better, and then also the chiropractic adjustment is an interrupt for the pattern. These 2 can work fantastic for sufferers of chronic pain. Okay, so that's expressive writing. Do it. It's really easy to do, but it's even easier to not do. Okay, so don't let the simplicity of this one fool you. This is a very powerful exercise and proven by the science to work incredibly well to interrupt that nervous system, so it's not continually running the same patterns of chronic pain. Number 5, we're going to do this one together. So deep breathing and gratitude. All right, so what we're going to do is you're just going to focus on the breath out, and we're going to count to 5 as we exhale. The inhale will take care of itself. Okay, super simple. Breathe in, just whatever you want to do, and then breathe out to the count of 5. And all the while, focus on something you're grateful for. There's a great song called Grateful by a guy named Brother James, B-R-O-T-H-A, James. You can look up the lyrics of that, and you can just think about things you're grateful for. Shirt on your back, house over your head, food in the fridge. There's a lot of people around the world that don't have that. In fact, there's billions that don't have that. Just think about 1, 2, 3 simple things you're grateful for while doing this deep breathing exercise. Breathe out to the count of 5. Breathe in that good healing oxygen. Fantastic exercise. Okay, I recommend breathing for all my patients. All right, so the next step we're going to go over something that most people don't know when they're talking about chronic pain. Okay, these are some of the secrets here. And so I want to kind of preface this with, recently my family went to Disneyland, all right? It was time to go back to the airport. And what you know when you go back to the airport is when you have that rental car, it's got to be full of gas, otherwise you're paying like 2 or 3 times as much, okay? And so we went from the hotel to the airport, had plenty of time, got to the airport. Unfortunately, we forgot something at the hotel. Drive back to the hotel, get the item that was misplaced, and now we're behind on time. Okay, so now it's a time crunch. So we had to make the decision, do we want to fill up with gas or not? Okay, did you know that there's a way to identify which side of the rental car your gas tank is on without even getting out to look? You can just sit there continuing in the driver's seat as you're pulling up to the tank and go, oh, nope, let's go over to this side versus this side. There's a way to know. And some of you know it, maybe many of you don't know it. I didn't know about this until last year, okay? Here I am having driven for at least, what is that, almost 20 years, 20 plus years of driving, and I didn't even know this, okay? If you look here in the center of the screen, there's an arrow on the gas meter here, and it points to the side of your car that has the gas tank on it. So you don't even have to get out and turn around your car if you park on the wrong side. You can just pull up and know it right from the get-go. And so why do I bring this up? The reason I bring this up is because some things may sound simple and you just say, I wish I would have known that. Because when I actually went to the tank, I didn't know that. I had to turn around. I had to back the car up, turn around, and we were already late. Okay, so I wish I would have known this. And it's something that's that simple that when someone comes and tells you, I wish I had known that. But the question is, well, how come no one told me sooner? Okay, there's people, they just don't know everything, right? And so some of the things I'm about to share with you, you go, well, how come my doctor didn't tell me about this simple idea? Well, how come my brother, who's an orthopedic surgeon, okay, he does surgery on people with chronic inflammation all the time and chronic pain all the time, and he doesn't know this. My sister, who's a nurse, my brother, people just don't know everything. And so that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Okay, so we're going to talk about some simple things that are very powerful. All right, so, and one of the additional keys, number 5, your spine and your nervous system. Okay, spinal alignment is incredibly important. As Dr. Dan Sullivan, who's a colleague of mine, says, he says the brain requires feedback from the spine through proper alignment and movement in order to deliver the right information to all muscles, organs, and tissues. Okay, so having your nervous system checked, finding out, is it working? Is it not working? Is it driving chronic inflammation? Is it promoting that inflammatory response? Is it promoting the fight or flight, the emergency response? Or is your nervous system guiding and directing your body towards healing and repair? Okay, you can actually find out. And so this is why chiropractors look at the spine. This is why the spine is so important. So Christopher Reeves, if you were with me last month, we talked about this. If you're new, like I said, welcome, but we're going to talk about it again. Okay, Christopher Reeves, Superman, he had an injury the size of your pinky in his spine. It was a very specific, very precise injury, but the orthopedic surgeon or the neurosurgeon who looked at him said that it was a very small fracture, but it was very specific. It was to the upper cervical spine. The C2 was fractured, and look at what happened to him. His body shut down, his arms shut down, his legs shut down, his internal organs shut down. He had to be on life-saving machines just to keep him alive because everything started to shut down. His internal organs were failing. He aged 20 to 25 years in that last decade that he was alive. Okay, this dramatically changed everything in his life and the way his body functioned. Okay, so if an injury that small happened to a very precise location, okay, what do chiropractors look for? We look for not fractures, but we look for misalignments, things that are subtle, small. Misalignments and things that are not moving properly. So the question you have to ask yourself is, if an injury the size of a pinky caused his entire body to shut down immediately, is it possible for small injuries, compilations, stresses, fractures, postures, poor posture, stresses in the spine, is it possible for those to do nothing? All those added up, do they do nothing? Okay, what we know as chiropractors is absolutely not. Accumulated over time, they'll cause your body to shut down, but slowly. And you have to ask yourself, is that something that I'm looking forward to? So physical stresses, how does subluxation get in there? Things like sitting. Okay, the Annals of Internal Medicine in 2015 said sitting is the new smoking. Everybody has their technology. What is it, about 2 hours a day? The average American adult doesn't have a cell phone with them or within arm's reach 2 hours a day. And that's probably being generous for a lot of us, right? Even in the shower, I think some people can do their iPhones nowadays. But tech causes poor posture and stress on the spine. Those add up over time. And unfortunately, for many people, the very first subluxation they ever had was during the birth process. So this is a medical study. It said birth trauma often causes neurological dysfunction. In fact, a study examining more than 1,000 infants concluded that approximately 80% had some form of nerve dysfunction. Okay, what we understand is that the spine is built to protect the nerves because the nerves direct all information. The brain controls everything. All function in the body happens. And so during the birth process, even in what quote-unquote natural normal birth can cause stress and damage to the nerve system and the spine of an infant. In this medical study, they said 80% had some form. All right, so the spine and posture, this is from the American Journal of Pain Management. The spine and posture affect and moderate every physiological function from breathing to hormone production. And so what are chiropractors looking for? Like I said, it's called a subluxation, an interference in the brain and nervous system from a spinal vertebra that's not grossly misaligned, but it's slightly misaligned, or it's not properly moving. Okay, what this does is it feeds back into the system, and it's as if there's a bear in the room. Okay, it's causing your brain to perceive that there's a threat when there's actually not really a threat there, but it perceives that there's a threat because their spine isn't moving properly. There's an intimate relationship between your spine and your nervous system. Then the spinal cord, nerves, spine. I want you to think of them as one organ, okay? The neurospinal organ is what they're calling it now. And if you have subluxation, misalignment, not moving properly, then there is damage in the organ and it's causing your body to go into that fight or flight mode. Okay, and so when we look at your nervous system and it's taking into account all the environmental factors and it's directing, do I want to go into fight or flight or do I want to go into rest, digest, relaxation, recovery, heal? Your nervous system, when it perceives threat, it doesn't matter if the threat is real. The perception of threat is what causes your nervous system to drive into this chronic inflammatory state. The threat of a problem, not necessarily even having a real problem, okay? And so when your spine is out of alignment, your nervous system releases more stress and inflammatory hormones into the blood and the body. Your body acts as if there's a threat. It acts as if there's a bear in the room. Okay, so when you have subluxation, we call that, AKA, a bear stays in the room, and your body acts that way. So if a bear were in the room, do you think your body could fully focus on proper digestion, quality sleep, nervous system balance, hormonal control, reducing inflammation? Can your body focus on these things if there's a bear in the room? Absolutely not. It's in fight or flight mode. It's in protection. It's in emergency mode. And your body automatically does that if you're in chronic pain and you have the stress in the spine and nerve system. And so these are the things that we talked about today. Nutrition, yes, awesome, do it. Exercise, fantastic. You need to do it. It's life-saving. Sleep, required. Okay, you can have all the best of all three of those. If you have subluxation, aka the bear stays in the room, if you have a spinal vertebra that's misaligned or not moving properly, then it's not possible for your body to properly absorb all the nutrients that it desires to. Your exercise isn't as effective as it should and could be. And your sleep quality, even if you feel like you're getting enough sleep, it's not going to perform as well in your body as it would have if your body has no interference because of subluxation. So here's some of the research that supports this. The 2006 study, the effect of chiropractic care on heart rate variability and pain. So when you adjust a person's body, it affects not just the spine, not just what they perceive in pain in the spine itself, but it affects what they refer to as the vagus, or the CEO of calm in the body. It affects the actual nerve that runs all the way down to the gut. It affects gut function. When you have a spinal vertebrae that is misaligned and then you adjust it, it actually releases stress so that the body can fully perform all its functions the way it should be. 2017 study, glucose metabolic changes in the brain and muscles of patients with nonspecific neck pain treated by spinal manipulation. Okay, when people are stressed and then they have subluxation, it's adding to the stress they're under. When you adjust them and remove the subluxation, remove the damage in their spine, then their body is less stressed. And they've measured it in things like the cerebellum and the vermis. They've measured it in the vagus nerve that goes from the brain down to the gut. They've measured it in salivary amylase, which is a stress hormone. Well, it's not a hormone. It's an enzyme that gets produced from your body, but you can measure stress using your saliva. They've done this and shown that chiropractic adjustments reduce stress by so many factors. Okay, it's not even a theory anymore. It's been proven by so many different studies. All right, so remember that chronic pain and inflammation are promoted and they cause these things: the trouble sleeping, the digestive issues, low back, headaches, fatigue, moody, being irritable, neck pain, migraines, anxiety, depression, weight gain, chronic immune issues, joint pain, burning in the feet and ringing in the ears. And these are promoted by having poor posture. In fact, the American Journal of Pain Management, once again, what they said is posture affects and moderates every physiological function, from breathing to nervous system function. Here's the kicker, watch this. And despite the considerable evidence that posture affects physiology and function, the significant influence of posture on health is not addressed by most physicians. What does that say? We know it's important, but we don't teach it. Why? Because it's not their job. It's not a medical doctor's job to be your posture promoter. Okay, that is a chiropractor. That's what we focus on. That is what we do. Okay, it's just not their job, even though we need to recognize how important it is from every aspect. It's just not their job. So how would you even know if you have subluxation? I've been a chiropractor for a lot of years now. Okay, I just can't look at someone and know where they have subluxation, or if they do or if they don't. Okay, we have to test. We don't guess, we test. And so what do? We look at posture. Posture is the window to the spine. We look at range of motion. How are things moving within the spine and nerve system? I use palpation. I use my fingers. They tell me a lot of information. We use thermography, a very special imaging technique that tells us where there's stress in the nervous system. When I ask people, have you ever had your nervous system tested or checked before? And they tell me no, I say we're about to do that. We use thermography to show us what the nervous system is doing. If needed, we use advanced 3D imaging. So on small children, I don't use this. And then on pregnant women, we don't use radiation. And so I don't do this on everybody, but for some people we'll use this. We'll use 3D images. It's not an X-ray. It's actually a CT scan, and I can see things in 3 dimensions. It results in a very gentle adjustment. Most people don't know that their neck was adjusted after we do it, because I can get very specific based on these 3D views. We use specific muscle tests to know if there's irritation in the nervous system or not. Okay, so we don't guess, we test in our office. And if you've even seen a chiropractor, you need to ask them, well, do you check my nervous system? Because there's a lot of us that don't. Okay, up until a few years ago, I didn't know how to do it as well as I know how to do it today. Okay, so it's not a given that if you go to a chiropractor, they're checking your nervous system. You got to know, you got to ask. Okay, and so once again, when we're talking about chronic pain, what are most people getting? They go to their medical doctor, they get prescribed a drug, okay? Not the alternative stuff, right? Which I think should be mainstream, which the governmental bodies, they say it should be mainstream too. The success rate is very poor for management of chronic stress. That's why people are turning to so many drugs, and that's why the opioid epidemic has been such a huge problem, okay? You'll hear my son, they're coming in from the pool. Hopefully they won't interrupt us too much, but all right. So is U.S. health really the best in the world? This is a medical journal telling us that so many people die from the medical system. Okay, benefits of U.S. healthcare currently delivers may not outweigh the harm it imparts. Okay, another medical journal saying that people's results from the standard practice of prescribing drugs and then waiting till they need surgery is a very poor practice for helping people actually resolve their chronic pain. We need better solutions. And so here's where we go with that is, if you're in the area, I'm going to recommend that you come in and get a nerve system check. You need to find out what's going on. Is this promoting your inflammation? Is this promoting the chronic pain? And so what I normally do is that's $150 in the office when I do that check. And if you mentioned that today you found out about us from this talk on chronic pain, we'll do it for just $40. And the way you do that is when you schedule your appointment online at afcidaho.com, type in chronic pain in the notes section when you schedule your appointment, and then I'll know automatically to provide you with that discount. If we need the advanced imaging, then I'll give you even a more discount because there is an additional cost to that. So that's something that I like to offer here. We want you to have solutions. We want to give you options aside from the traditional approach, which works very poorly on managing pain, especially chronic pain. Okay, we want you to have those non-surgical, non-pharmacological options. So here's someone who came in to see me. In 2009, he had a work injury, herniated his disc in his lower back. 8.5 years he was dealing with this issue. Didn't get any results with who he was working with before. He was on disability the original time, and then 3 more times so the disc would re-aggravate him, muscle spasms would return. He tried contacting a few chiropractors, and most of them said that they didn't want to touch that with the low back because of the herniation, okay? What he says is, I finally found Dr. Steve with the help of my wife, and that's when the transformation began. Dr. Steve, so remember, this is 8.5 years he's been dealing with this issue, okay? You can imagine when we talk chronic, we're talking about 3 months or longer. 8.5 years is quite a bit longer than 3 months. He says, I finally found Dr. Steve with the help of my wife, and that's when the transformation began. Dr. Steve gave me the hope that I had lost long ago. I was a bit nervous going in for my first adjustment. Dr. Steve was so gentle during the adjustment that I felt no pain, just relief. I started seeing him 3 times a week at first and continued to go twice a week. I'm forever grateful to him for giving me my life back. I'm now able to do the things that were too painful to do before. I've lived the difference that chiropractic care makes. A million thanks, Dr. Steve Perry. Well, Tim, I'll tell you, it was my pleasure to offer chiropractic focused on the nerve system so we can break that cycle of that chronic pain and then start to restore balance in the body. Okay, absolutely. These are the things that we chiropractors deal with on a regular basis. People who have lost their hope because they just haven't gotten any results with what they're doing. And so here's we'll end on this, a little bit more research for you. Chiropractic and opioid use. I mean, if this is all that you get from this, fantastic. Chiropractic patients have shown to use 55% less opioids than non-chiropractic recipients. This is from the Journal of Complementary Alternative Medicine of December of 2017. Okay, and so with that, what I want to say is use those simple things that we talked about. Okay, what we're going to do is have a downloadable flyer that you can download here, and you can, so instead of taking notes, they'll have all the recommendations right on there. If you're in the area, great, go to our website, afcidaho.com, and you can find us there. If you're not in the area, find a chiropractor who's subluxation based that focuses on removing that and on the nervous system. It's been my pleasure to provide you. I hope you've gotten found great information, gotten great value from our time together today. Next month, we're going to do another, and so look for that on our Facebook site. It's been great to be with you, and have a great day.